This is Nick with Build Brothers Roofing and Solar. Started my digital inspection at 3635 Luna Avenue. I'm going to start my inspection underneath the eave of the house. So I wanted to point a few things out. We typically like to start underneath the eave of the house because it gives us a good idea about what kind of wood damage we can expect. We see we have some wood rot in the corner. That's always pretty standard. But when I work over to this portion, you can see we have some pretty significant wood damage underneath the eaves here. So there's been some leaks that have been going on for quite some time. We're going to be replacing some fascia boards, some rafter tails, and obviously that plywood as well. But a lot of that has to be addressed. Now we have pool soil that's right above this area. That might be the issue. But we also have some other underlying issues with the roof itself. So I'm going to work my way up to the top as I close that. But it's always good to get an idea of what kind of wood repair is going to be expected on a project, because that wood repair is always that unknown variable. We never know how much wood is going to need to be replaced until we actually tear this roof off and we see what's underneath it. So working my way up to the top of the roof. Here we have a torch down roof, or a torch down modified bitumen roof material. You can see everything starting to loosen up along the edges. Typically once the torch down material is no longer adhering to the drip edge, that's a telltale sign that the product is starting to go past that life expectancy, or it's gone past life expectancy. We got a ton of solar on this roof along with some pool solar as well. We can see that the edges are starting to come up throughout, and I took a bunch of pictures on the inspection report, so they're going to be able to see that also. A lot of soft spots on this roof as well. Again, you can see how everything's starting to loosen up. So obviously if my fingers can get underneath it, water's going to be getting underneath it as well. We got a lot of ponding going on this roof too. So you can see where all these granules accumulate. And so essentially what happens is, over time, the oils on this sheet will start to evaporate, and as those oils evaporate, the granules start to deplete. So whenever it rains, that water pushes those granules to the areas where that water just sits or ponds. And when you have ponding underneath the solar, directly where the solar penetrations are, that is never a good sign. We always want to make sure that we either have the correct roofing material in that situation, or to make sure that it's the correct slope. So we got chem curbs that were used to install these solar panels. We got 17 solar panels that are on this roof. A lot of this roof is very, very soft. So you can see that a lot of it's no longer adhering to the decking underneath it. These are all signs that the product has gone past that life expectancy. You can see some of this conduit is nice and loose too, exposing the wiring. You can also see how much ponding is going on. So all that water just sits and accumulates right where that vent is. You can see how the sealant around that penetration is starting to wear through as well. Again, all signs that the product itself has gone past that life expectancy. We got some gas lines on this roof. Those are going to need to be removed, professionally turned off during the roofing process as well. Now this is the area where all that water is starting to seep through, and where everything is getting nice and wet underneath it. And you can see again just how loose this material is, and this is going on in the corner as well, and happening realistically, it's just happening throughout. And you can see these gutters just filled with all the granules from the actual material. So again, all signs showing that the product has gone past that life expectancy. So flat roofs are always the roofs that are going to have issues when it comes to an aging product, or if it was not installed properly. So you really need to be proactive when it comes to the maintenance on a flat roof or the replacement of a flat roof. You can see they went ahead and did some kind of elastomeric coating over on this section. Now that roofing material is the same as this roofing material, so that's telling me that there is more than likely was a leak that was coming along this portion of the roof. We got a bunch of skylights on this roof. These are always going to be susceptible to leaks. Then obviously you have all the solar penetrations as well. So based off of the quality of the material that is on this roof, the lack of adhesiveness along all the drip edge, the amount of ponding, and the amount of granule loss, you can see how a lot of these areas are really dark. All those granules have depleted from that material. It would be a really good idea for this homeowner to be proactive when it comes to replacing this roof. Flat roofs do not do the best job of allowing water to flow off of them. So if that water is sitting in areas where there are already penetrations, then they are going to be extremely susceptible to the leaks. So what I suggest doing is, when you do make the decision to replace this roof, which I would suggest doing very quickly, I would imagine this roof might have a couple years left in it, depending on the weather and depending on how many leaks they're already getting. I'm going to recommend obviously removing these solar panels, removing the pool solar. We have our in-house solar crews that are going to be responsible for the removal and reinstallation of the solar panels. We're going to move all that equipment. We're going to tear this roof down to the wood decking. We're going to install a layer of TPO. TPO is a flat roof material that does a great job of withstanding any kind of ponding water like we have right here. It's also highly reflective. It's going to reflect a ton of heat and sunlight off of this roof, which is going to make this home a lot cooler than it is right now. So once we get everything down to the wood decking, at that point we will address all that bad wood. So all the eaves over here that are going to need to be replaced, we're going to go ahead and take care of that with the fascia and the rafter tails. And then obviously we're going to assess the rest of the roof to make sure that there isn't more wood damage. Once all that is complete, then we're going to install that layer of TPO. We'll go ahead and reseal and reflash all these penetrations. We talked about having to disconnect these gas lines during the process, so we'll have to get somebody out here to professionally do that as well. And then we're going to go ahead and install that TPO roof material. Once that's installed, then the solar panels go back on. We'll reseal, reflash all these skylights as well. Skylights look to be in pretty good shape. They're a little old, but I don't see a whole lot of cracking in them. Obviously, if the homeowner is looking to replace these skylights or upgrade them, it's a good time to do it while the new roof is getting put on. But again, just based off this inspection, based off the age of the material, based off of the quality and all the stuff that's going on, you see how rusted out all those nails are. I am going to recommend replacing this roof in the very near future. That is it for my inspection.